to prevent back pain when driving. Now, if you are a busy working mom like me and you are juggling your work and kids at the same time, and as moms, we are busy people. We have so many things to do in the day, and one of them might be dropping kids to school, picking them up, or maybe you're driving to work and you have noticed that you might have noticed that you have back pain, specifically lower back pain, only when you are in your car or when you're driving. Now, let's talk about 4 simple tips in this video that will help you to prevent low back pain or back pain when you are driving. Now, before we get into the topic for today, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Swati. I'm an executive mom power coach. I help moms of younger kids who work in high stress executive jobs to manage their spinal, that is back and neck, and joint pain. I do this by giving you simple exercises, easy lifestyle changes, some tips, tricks, hacks, and I also talk about some low tox natural products that have helped me in my own pain journey, my own spinal and joint pain journey. All right, so let's get back into the topic for today. That is 4 simple tips to prevent low back pain when driving. Now, the very first thing is whenever you're sitting in your car seat, try and sit back all the way so that the lower back bottom part of your body is touching the area which is the junction of the back and the bottom of the seat. So you have this L shape of the seat. Your bottom should be touching right at the back here, because many of us, especially when you're in a hurry in the mornings and you don't realize that you are not sitting in a good posture, many of us sit towards the front edge of the seat. Whenever you're sitting, you should try and sit back into the seat. Now, while you're sitting back into the seat, there is one thing that you have to be cautious about is there should be a gap between the edge of the seat and the back of your knee. There should be about a 1 inch gap there. So that's like an approximate number. So anything between 3 to 5 centimeters is good. The reason being, if your seat length is more than the length of your thighs or your femur bone, what happens is you are sitting back into the chair, but the back of the edge of the seat is going to be jutting into the back of your knee. Now, the back of your knee has quite a few important structures, and you don't want that kind of pressure on the back of your knee. So what you can do is, if while you are sitting into the seat and you feel that the back of the uh, knee is being touched constantly or having pressure constantly by the edge of the chair, pop a cushion behind your back. So that cushion will cover up a bit of that extra length of your car seat. So thereby the back of your knee is going to be free from any kind of pressure. So that was point number one. Now, why do we do this? Let me just explain the points and then why are we doing what we're doing. The reason is that if you are not sitting back into your chair completely, into your car seat completely, after a period of time, you will lean back to get that support from the seat. And when you lean back, when you have that gap between your bottom and the back of the seat, you will tend to slouch. Okay, so in order to prevent slouching or slumping, which will eventually lead to lower back pain or back pain for that matter, you should sit back into your seat. Secondly, you want your feet flat on the floor. Now, you may say, of course, how can I drive without my feet touching the feet pedal, like your accelerator and the brakes, etc.? Yes, but some of us sit back in the chair so much that only the tips of our toes are touching the brake pedals and the feet, basically the foot pedals. You should have your feet flat onto the floor of the car. Now, again, if you're not able to do this, what happens is there is a lot of stresses on the back of your leg and back of your thigh, especially your hamstrings. Your hamstrings are then attached to your pelvis, that is the bony ring around your that's the junction between your torso and your legs, right? So if when your pelvis gets pulled because of that stresses on the hamstrings, because you are on your tippy toes practically, what happens is that pelvis will get tilted and there will be chances of getting back pain. So try to have your feet flat onto the car floor. Again, a cushion behind your back will help you if you are you've got a shorter height and you don't have a seat which can be adjusted to have your feet reach the floor. Well, these adjustments that I'm telling you, I am just these postural corrections that I'm telling you. I'm assuming you are in a regular car which does not have those fancy, the seat goes up and down and reclines back and forwards. It doesn't have those fancy functions. So this is something which I'm talking about in a very basic car. If you have one of those fancy cars where you can adjust the seat according to your requirement, then of course go for it. Okay. So the third thing is that you want your hip joint to be slightly above your knee joint. So what I mean is if you look at yourself sitting sideways, if you look at where your torso meets your thigh bone, that's your hip there. That hip bone, if you're looking at somebody sitting from the side and this is their hip joint and this is their knee joint, right? So this is the car seat, you're sitting on it. You want your hip joint to be slightly elevated as compared to your knee joint. The reason is the moment you are elevated, your hip joint is elevated further than your knee joint, your pelvis is sitting in a bit of a anterior, that is a forward tilted position. When you are in a slightly like this, about 3 to 5 degrees of a forward tilt, your lumbar spine or your lower back curve is in the neutral position that it should be. This will prevent any slouching or slumping that you will have if your hip joint was in the same line as your knee. So basically this position will help you to prevent slouching, that will help you to prevent your lower back pain. Now, the fourth thing is if you have one of those fancy cars that have a good lumbar support, that is, they support the curve of your lumbar spine, sure, go for it. Make sure it is sitting into the curve. So if this is your lumbar curve, this is the back of your body and this is the front of your body, these muscles in here into the deepest part of the lumbar curve sometimes do not get supported. So if this is my car seat and I'm sitting here, do you realize that there is a support up here, there is a support down here, but then the muscles that are into the curve, that are in the deeper part of this curve, do not get supported. When you roll up a towel or a lumbar support and you put it into your car seat, what is happening is all these muscles, including the ones in the deeper part of the curve, are being supported well. Now that itself will prevent the fatigue of these muscles, thereby preventing slouching or slumping and preventing lower back pain. Now these are the 4 tips that I wanted to give you. Another tip, another bonus tip for you is try and do some movements while you are in your car seat. Now you might say, okay, I can't get up and just get out of the car and move around. So what I mean is you should curve your lower back and slouch a little bit, then curve, and then slouch. So basically what you're doing with your lower back is you're trying to straighten it and you're trying to curve it, straighten and curve. You're doing this sort of a movement on your lower back, maybe when you have stopped at, say, a traffic signal, or when you have stopped the car to drop off the kids while they're getting out of the car. Try and do this arching and straightening of your lumbar spine. This creates a bit of movement there. So whatever stresses have built up in your lumbar spine or your lower back during this driving, whatever time you're driving, this movement will help to break up those stresses and will not lead to a full-blown pain at the end of your drive. All right, so these were the 5 tips for you, 4 tips plus a bonus tip to prevent back pain when driving. Now, if you are looking for more simple tips to correct your posture when you are, say, sitting at home, or when basically I slouch or I slump or I go into a poor posture, but I do not know how to prevent this, I do not know how to correct this, I have put together a very simple guide for you that will help you with correcting your posture or getting into a good posture. I will leave a link to that guide in the description of this video. If you're watching me on Instagram, the link is in my bio. Once you click on the link, it'll take you to some free resources and you can click the one for posture from there. Alrighty, I hope this was useful for you and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.